Hello, fifth grade. Welcome back. What we're going to do today is we're going to go over the questions that you had about the second triumvirate, and we're going to talk about the answers. We want to make sure that you have the correct answers, first of all, but we also need to add any specific details that you might have missed, especially with the map going along with the regions of who was involved with the second triumvirate. I'm going to spend a little bit of time just specifically talking about this, okay? And that goes with question 4. So to get started here, let's use number 1 as the jumping off point. What happened after Caesar's death? And as we talked about the last time, you know that Julius Caesar had recently been assassinated by some other members of the Senate, including Brutus and Cassius, who he thought were his friends, but apparently not. This, however, was not a very popular move on the part of all the other Roman citizens. A vast majority of Roman citizens thought that Julius Caesar was a good leader. They liked his leadership. And after they found out that he had been killed, they were not really happy about it. So, to go with question 1, what happened after Caesar's death is that a civil war breaks out. So, any civil war is a war between people who are from within the same country. So, in this case, it's Roman people against other Roman people. But the civil war breaks out because some people that were fans of Julius Caesar versus people who were not are going to start arguing about who should be the next leader. Okay, so in short, what happened after Caesar's death is the civil war. Number 2, who are the 3 people that make up the second triumvirate? As you can see from the pictures I have up here, you have Octavian, Mark Antony, and Lepidus. So those are the 3 members. Number 3, what was this group's first act? As many of you all read, Octavian is related to Julius Caesar, and Antony and Lepidus are basically friends of his, or what I guess you consider understudies in the military. All 3 of them, however, are fans of Julius Caesar. So what their first group act was is to pretty much track down those that were responsible for his death and to kill those people. Okay, so pretty much revenge was on their mind. So their first group act was pretty much to get revenge for the death of Julius Caesar. Number 4, explain specifically how the land of the empire was divided among the members of the group. That's where this map comes into play. And definitely you all need to add just a brief, easy version of this map somewhere in the notebook because it lays out exactly who had what at the time. So you have the 3 members represented. You have Octavian, you have Mark Antony, and you have Lepidus down here. And what you can tell with this blue line is pretty much an outline of the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, it's not completed because the Mediterranean Sea is not a complete oval. It has a little broken out part where you get to the Atlantic Ocean here in real life. But I have this blue kind of almost oval to represent the Mediterranean Sea. And all these different colors are representing who owned what or what they had access to. So Octavian's piece is kind of over here in this top corner, which includes Rome and what is now the country of Italy, again, kind of that boot-looking country. And all of this is Octavian's piece. And I have this arrow here pointing to Europe because obviously Octavian, having ownership of this corner, has access to not only Rome and Italy, but the rest of Europe, which is over here. Likewise, you have Mark Antony over here, who has this entire piece, and that gives him and his kind of group access to what is now the Middle East and what is now parts of Asia. So that's why this arrow is kind of shooting down this way. And at the bottom here, you have all of pretty much northern Africa, which includes this star, which would represent Egypt, and this arrow pointing down to the rest of Africa. So this is Lepidus and his property and everything that goes on with him and his access to, again, northern Africa and more importantly, Egypt, because that was kind of the major player in this region. So I would definitely add this setup to your notebook. Again, all of the labeling that I put in here is kind of short version, which you can do something similar. But that just shows you visually kind of how this is set up. Okay. Now, the next piece here is going back to the question of number 5. Now, that one had a lot of different options, but I'm just going to walk you all through what are the possibilities. Okay, listing 3 reasons that you think the second triumvirate failed. Okay, there's a bunch of different reasons, but let's just go through the pieces, okay? Similar to the first triumvirate, you have somebody kind of removed very early on. In this case, Lepidus simply retires. So I'm going to just move him down here. So he's not going to die or anything like that. He's just going to decide to retire. Now, one would think, oh, like, why didn't they just replace him with somebody else? Well, for whatever reason, they just didn't feel like that was going to be worth it. Okay, so now already you have kind of a civil war between these two guys, Octavian and Mark Antony. Now, the hidden picture that's behind here, a lot of you all kind of could have figured this out, but this is a picture of Cleopatra, who is at that time essentially the queen of Egypt under Roman rule. But here's the deal. Okay, Cleopatra had also previously been friends with Julius Caesar. And when Julius Caesar dies, she pretty much allies herself with Mark Antony. Okay. And as many of you all read into the details, they kind of start a romantic relationship as well. So they're kind of a couple over here. And Octavian sees that as a threat. Okay. He says, okay, now Antony and his girlfriend now they're gonna plan against me, they're gonna plot against Rome, and they're gonna try to take me out. So he tells the people of Rome this, that Antony is working almost with like some foreign enemy. He's working with the Egyptians, and they don't like that. So Octavian kind of gets the people on his side, and he gets a military, he gets a big army ready to go against them. And as some of you all read, um, pretty much Antony and Cleopatra hear that Octavian is coming to get them, hear that the army is coming to surround them, and they both, in different fashions, take their own lives. Now, this is later on. This is going to be romanticized by William Shakespeare, and he's going to talk about, just the death, the very dramatic death of Mark Antony and Cleopatra and their love and everything else. But the fact of the matter is obviously they were pretty frightened by Octavian, and they kill themselves as opposed to being surrounded by his army. So a pretty dramatic end for both of them. Now Octavian is the only one left, and you're going to see coming up here very soon that he is very similar to Julius Caesar, and he actually goes a little bit further. So he is now going to be the emperor, the overall ruler of Rome. So he very quickly has kind of stepped into the role of what Julius Caesar had just become. Okay. So once again for today, just make sure you go through your notebooks. If everything you had was correct, I don't need to see any proof of it. You all are kind of on the honor system on this, but I would definitely add that map, and I would make sure that all of your answers are correct for 1 through 5. Okay, and as always, I hope you all are staying safe and being well, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye bye.